Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today I have with us a guest. He was a contestant in this year's Face of Horror competition, and I have Jaden. Jaden, welcome to the Horror Room.
Hey, good to be here, Travis.
Thank you, man. Thanks for coming on. So, tell my audience a little bit about your experience in the Face of Horror competition.
So I'm a voice actor and puppeteer with the SAG union, and we had been on strike for at least 3 months now. So I've been effectively out of work, good work, I should say. And I saw the Face of Horror was doing it again. I had remembered that a friend of mine did it last year. He barely promoted it, even though I was voting for him all the time. But I had remembered the name Face of Horror and that they had a $13,000 cash prize. So, I thought, oh, well, this could be something good to help me get by for the next few months or so. Christmas is coming up and all that, and I'm probably going to need some extra, cash.
Yeah.
So I entered in, selected some pictures that I had from past Halloweens, past makeup stuff that I did. And, I started getting votes. I was advancing towards the initial two or three groups. And, once the competition started to winnow out, after I think the second or third group, I was actually taking some new pictures, got my makeup done, added so much prosthetics and props and fake blood and false teeth and contact lens, and just really, made myself look super disgusting in every way that I could, to really be the face of horror. And I thought I was doing a pretty good job, and I was making it all the way through the thing. It started to get a lot more stringent as the competition went. Um, the more I was out there promoting it, people would vote, but then posts would get buried, and I would only narrowly make it, and I'd have to rely on like a surprise donation out of nowhere. And at no point was I ever asking people to buy votes or anything. I never wanted people to drop big money for me, but my older brother did, some friends of mine did. I would go on TikTok to promote it, Instagram, I was doing posts all the time, and Facebook and everywhere, but never directly sent it to people. Just sort of posted it and say, hey, if you support me, this is something I'm doing right now. Just cast a free vote. And I made it pretty far. I made it ultimately up to the semifinals, but there was a lot of sketchy stuff happening last minute, and they did not get back to any reports that I had made. And much of the complaints that people were having, pretty much shared. And there was a Facebook group of all the contestants. I was part of it, trying to promote it, but these were people that had been axed off weeks or days prior, and every complaint that they had was virtually the same: that people were buying votes, that people were jumping out of nowhere to surge, that people had no pictures up, and that was a lot of the cases, or that people were using fraudulent voting services, which they really hadn't cracked down on too well. So there was a great lack of transparency. There was one girl who was in my group, the semifinals round, who was openly paying for votes on. She was announcing it on Facebook. Oh, I just dropped $200 and I'm still in third place.
I saw that.
That since support, they didn't get back to me until the day that the competition ended, and said, "Oh, well, we'll look into it and we'll make sure that we talk to that person." But like, why does it matter now? They're already losing. So, the thing ended. I was fine with it. I'm content that it's over. There was a number of changes I'd recommend. I don't see how a horror competition could really go all the way through early November or so, because by that point people are pretty fatigued.
Mhm.
I would completely overhaul the thing. If I was running it, I would not have it run the way that it would. There's at least five things that I'd change.
Now, I was in the competition last year, and it was probably one of the most stressful experiences I've ever been to. And I've been through some stressful experiences, but it was the constant looking at your phone. Oh my God, where am I at? I'm in first place. Oh my God, I'm down in third place. How did that happen?
Yep.
It was stressful. And I hear a lot of people say, "Oh my goodness, this is fun." There was nothing fun about this competition at all. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. Ultimately, it was people who I got to meet along the way, people who I could support and would support me throughout the competition. I got to see their work, got to share my stuff, got to, find some kind of alliances between people, and people who had fallen prior to me advancing would show up and support me and throw their support behind me, and that was very nice. But it was stressful every night. I would refresh the thing, and especially the nights where it was just about to end, I'd say, to my audience, I'd go live, tell them to just head over there. It's a free vote, just do it, and we would manage to squeak out a win with each competition. But it was pretty hectic. I would, in the last few days, I would have dreams where I would like fall to 12th place, or I would somehow rise to first place overnight, or I'd wake up and see the results the next day, and it was like, oh, hey, I made it. But overall, it's not fun. There's really not a whole lot that they ask you to do aside from voting and like sending in crap ton of money to get those votes. And like that kind of undermines the whole thing. Like, if this was a public election and everyone got one vote to vote for the candidate, but also you could maybe buy $100 worth of votes, then how is that a free and fair democratic process? It's not. So
And I,
that's
and
that's a problem.
and I was a part of the same Facebook group that you were up until this morning, but a lot of people are waking up. I mean, a lot of people have seen my videos, and a lot of people have just noted there's something wrong with this competition. This is a scam, and I've seen some of the saddest stories, where people have emptied out their savings accounts to
Yep.
win this competition, and people were expecting to win for surgery, to have life
Yeah.
altering
Yeah.
surgery and stuff. Like, and it's just disgusting.
Yep. One woman, Abigail, I believe was her name, she didn't even want the money. She was trying to donate all of the proceeds towards a funeral fund, and a firefighters organization that treats burns and stuff like that, and medical costs. Some people wanted to put it towards kids' college funds and other medical expenses, help out. There was one guy that was trying to help out pit bulls and give them housing and shelter and food and stuff like that. Really noble causes, but the people that would always be like number one in the group would be someone that has next to no photos, and would say something like, "Oh, I just want to like get a new tattoo or something, or I want to, decorate this part of my house." And that's fine. If you win, you can do whatever you want with the money.
Mhm.
But like, why would you need to drop $5,000 to get to first place for something? Like, why would you need to be in the competition if you already have the money to, win? So that kind of defeats the purpose of it all.
Now, do you agree that it's 100% impossible to even advance as far as you did, or even win this competition without pay votes?
I don't think so. I'm seeing some people in the finals right now who are decked out in the prosthetics and masks and makeup and blood and fake teeth and all that stuff, and they look really good. I doubt that they all got by on free votes only, and the reason why is, even some of the people that are in the finals, virtually no pictures, virtually no horror themed pictures at all, and no support on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, or any other social media platform. Is virtually no one liking their post. They might get one like or a comment from an old relative voted, but there's no support. And it would be naive to believe that people are really rallying behind 75-year-old Doug with no pictures and no social media or anything like that. This person's paying for it. And like, why would you enter a competition called the Face of Horror to represent horror, during Halloween time, and just have virtually nothing on your profile? So I don't know.
But the number one argument, which I'm sure is going to be in the comments, is I hear people say, "Well, the competition is not necessary for horror fans; it's for anybody." But it's called Face of Horror.
Right. I see. I don't like that notion that it should just be like anyone, like the person I was up against, this Bree chick. just paid like $500. She had 5 photos. There was multiple people in my group that had next to no photos, at least 3, and all of them would have been like found on Tinder if you were scrolling. They had nothing to do with horror, Halloween, or gore, or anything like that. And like, why are you in the competition? It's the face of horror. You're going to be in Rue Morgue magazine, which is a prominent horror magazine, and you just look like normal. How is that going to motivate people to join next year if they just see that regular looking people are doing the thing, that put no effort into it, that have money? Is that really the face of horror? And like, my thing was, I was in the competition because I at least wanted to prove that you could get by to the very end without dropping thousands of dollars on yourself. I wanted to prove that grit and hard work and determination could at least win the thing. Ultimately, it did. But like, my notion with that was, and I even changed my bio a few days prior to it ending, was that in horror you can't pay your way to victory. There's no like, oh, let me just get an Uber out of here, or oh, let me just pay my servant to kill this guy. No, no, it's about teamwork. It's about figuring things out. It's about strategy. It's about outwitting. It's about using your mind as opposed to your wallet. And, if you look at every person that survived a haunted house or a killing spree or whatever, it's never the fucking rich person. It's never the rich kid that gets by. They're always the first to die are the rich people.
Mhm.
What?
I agree.
Yeah.
Now, you and I are in, I don't want to say too much because, I'm doing this series. By the way, please like and subscribe. I'm doing a series right now, which is called The Five Faces of the Horror Scam. And number one is already out. So each week I'm going to do. So somewhere in the series, I'm going to be talking about the Face of Horror Facebook groups. Okay. And what their part of the scam is. Now, since I have you here right now to test it, have you noticed that you're not allowed to say anything bad about the face of horror in these Facebook groups? You're not allowed to express your
Uh,
concerns, or if you do, the admin would say, "Well, if you try a little bit harder, maybe you can win."
it's 50-50 from my experience. I've only been in for maybe a week or so. There's been a lot of posts, and I've had posts that have been critical. I've exposed people for cheating, and that was fine. But there's been some times where people were discouraging other people from continuing, and that got, axed. But it's been 50-50 from my experience. The people that run the groups have all been former competitors in the rounds, and they just wanted to use the group to support people going forward to the finals, or at least build some kind of like coalition or friendships or what have you, or shared experience. I don't necessarily know that I've experienced people being like shut down or silenced per se, but overall they do sort of discourage and delete posts that say that people should get out of the thing because they do want to see someone win at the end of the day.
Okay, all right. I will be posting a video about that soon.
Well, I like to see.
Yes, yes. All right. So one of the things I've also seen is we talked about people having profiles who are not horror fans. But have you actually went into their profiles and read what they have to say about what's your favorite horror movie or blah blah blah? It's the most generic shit
Yeah.
if they don't have anything at all.
Mhm.
Now, do you think those are real? I'm starting to think that a lot of these profiles are not even real. I think a lot of them are bots.
See, I don't know because like for a good portion of the people who I've looked up that I suspect of being bots, they at least had some social media, some history of it. But I don't know really. What concerned me was that in the last few days, people would only recently start posting pictures, and it would concern me as to how they were getting by 7, 8, 9, whatever rounds it is, with no pictures, and only then started to post stuff. But what they were posting were usually things with Snapchat filters or whatever, low effort stuff, like, party makeup, barely anything up. And somehow that's been surging to first in all these groups. That's been making the final cut for all these things. That's kind of suspicious. They didn't do a great deal of cracking down on who is legitimate and if these people are getting legitimate votes. But overall, I think what undermines the competition is the ability to buy votes. Why have that? That's going to lead to more bots. They have a system. They claim to have a system to crack down on voting agencies and voting bots to artificially inflate votes. But like, how good actually is it? Because I got hit with one. I've never once requested anyone to like buy votes for me, like fake votes or whatever. And I got a notification about that. So if they're going around hitting random people for that, and then like, what's gone unchecked? It's suspicious.
Now, do you think with an actual contest like this, you're talking about the format? How can you actually pick the biggest face of horror fan if it's not an open platform? Which means that, for instance, you should be able to go onto a page and there should be numerous people listed down, right? And
Mhm.
any individual should be able to just go on and vote for who they think is the face of horror. With this, it's more of a popularity contest, because you're getting people who you know or people who subscribe to you to vote for you. And B, it's also about whoever has the most money, because without the pay votes, you're not going nowhere.
Yeah, and for anyone watching that's considering doing this next year, you will not win. You won't win unless you have the ability to raise that amount of money tantamount to what you're going to be winning at the end of the day. So I'd say at least half of the $13,000 prize you're going to need to get to the finals collectively. Maybe not you specifically, but people are going to have to donate at least $6,000, $7,000 in its totality to at least get you to the finals, to at least get you to win. What they should do, and I know that they won't because they're incompetent, but they should be having the final round. They should have had all the rounds free, but the final round, at the very least, should be a free round for everyone that's competed, for everyone that supported each other, to just vote for free, because we know that it's not going to be won by somebody that's working their ass off, doing the best that they can, but has no money. It's going to be who has an OnlyFans, who's got a sugar daddy, who's got a crap ton in their wallet to pay for it, and not someone that's genuinely putting in the hard work to be able to win this thing. And that's not fair, because there were and are some very talented people in the competition who don't have the funds to do this thing and wouldn't have the funds to do this thing. So like that, it's kind of classist, to be honest. This can only be won by people who are phenomenally wealthy or well off. And that undermines the fact that there were thousands of people that truly needed the money, myself included, to get by with this thing and couldn't raise as much money as someone that's got $6,000 to drop on themselves. So it's not a fair system at all. It's not in any means a fair competition, and anything that would elicit the ability to purchase votes is automatically a disqualifying factor for a legitimate competition.
And this is something that you've experienced, and I experienced in this competition too. You'll be in first place, and then at the last second, somebody jumps up from the bottom into first place. How can it be a legitimate competition if you cannot see how far someone's ahead of you? There's
Yeah,
no
right.
there's no number there to say, okay, well, this person's 100 votes ahead of me.
Hmm. See, that's why they keep it secret, because they just want you to donate an unlimited amount of votes of money to Surge. And the uncertainty is what makes it a really difficult and stressful process. Like I said, if there were 5 things I could change, I don't know that I'll name 5 here, but right off the top of my head, free votes all the way through, no paid votes. You should be able to see how many votes. There should be requirements for what you should be posting. There should be a minimum of 10 pictures. And I think throughout the round, They had us submit one video for this stupid Kane Hodder's Choice thing. They're probably going to pick some random person who he hasn't watched. And if the first person he watched, I don't know. But there's no way he's going to review all those things.
No.
What they should do is instead of that bullshit, they should have uh, like weekly or something like that, bi-weekly or what have you, a video submission or something, or like proof that you can do something. Like show us your best clown makeup, show us your best vampire, show us your best scream or crawl or slasher move, or what would your horror catchphrase be? That would motivate people. That would
It's
get us involved. That would allow us to see what other people are doing and how we can make our craft better. But none of that. It's just put a crap ton of pictures up, let it sit, and maybe people will vote for you. And like, if this was any other competition, any other talent competition, you would be asking for those things, like, all right, well, Miss America USA, what would you do for the country? Like they want to
exactly.
know who you are. They want to see what you can do. You got the talent portion, you've got, the singing for all that stuff. What you get in a beauty pageant, we should have the equivalent in a horror pageant. So, but we don't.
I 100% agree. It's not a contest because you're just basing everything off of someone's profile and how much money they're, donating. Because like you
Mhm.
said, if it was an actual contest, yes, you would have to submit like once a week. They would engage with you once a week. This week
Right.
we're going to
That's what we
do
did.
your best. They would have trivia or something to stand out that okay, we're 1% picking out the biggest horror
Right.
fan.
Yeah.
And and you cannot do that just off of votes and how much money someone has.
Right. There's no way to build a rapport unless you know the people who are voting for you, which a lot of the people seem to do. There's no way of like building a rapport with one another in the competition or other people or garnering other people's support or really just in with the audience who are trying to support this in totality. There's no way of sort of reaching other people. So it's solely dependent on who knows you, who can donate to you, and not about like how you can reach a broader audience and truly represent yourself, because it's not very public. People are only going to check out the profiles who they're running against or who they already know, and people aren't going to be going there out of curiosity to see who they want to support, because that's just not how this competition works.
But there's thousands of groups as well, so it's impossible for the only way I can even look at anybody's group is I have to know that person specifically, hit on their profile, and I can only see the people who are in their group. So there's thousands of other groups that I don't get to see the contestants.
Yeah, I didn't know that at first either. um I don't know if this was here the whole time or if they added it later, but there was this browse feature where you could start to view the other groups. You could view who was left in the competition. I did not see that the
And
first
have that.
5 weeks. Yeah, I didn't see it, but ultimately I found it and could see how many people were left. And I think it was like 3 weeks left into the competition in it that I found it and could see everything. And it's a lot. It's way more than they let you on to to understand and to believe. And it's discouraging because you may be number one on week two, but you're probably going to be axed off on week three. They just constantly shift it. It's kind of like March Madness with the bracket system. But
Mhm.
you may feel confident early on, and a lot of people did. Hey, I'm number one in my group. Oh, I'm in the top 1%, whatever. But you're not going to win. That's the
Yep.
reality of it. Someone is going to surge once you get to the quarterfinals or that the thing that you were eliminated in, the second place thing,
Period. Yep.
or you may be axed
Reanimator.
off in the semifinals. Yeah, so
Mhm.
that's just how it is. You're probably not going to win. Whatever early success you have will not translate to the finals.
The way to win this contest, if I was going to suggest anybody, which I suggest no one should sign up for this contest. If you were going to do it, you need it's going to take you somewhere between $6,000 to $8,000 to win. That's what
Yeah.
to win. But at the same time, you're not going to get that much money back in return because they tax that $13,000, most people don't know, on a $30,000 tax bracket. So that means, and they take the taxes directly out. So that means that's $8,000 out of your 13,000. So what is that? $5,000. So you're still going to either break even or
Mm-hmm.
lose in a long run.
Yeah. That's the
And
reality. It is just a money grab. And you know, I would feel a lot more confident in the thing if the money was actually going towards the B Plus Foundation, which it really isn't. Something like maybe what is it, 15% of it's actually donated to it?
25.
25? Yeah. And that's not really something that they were transparent about. They have it
No,
squeezed in on one of the little blurbs on their website, but like to plaster it everywhere and says, "Oh, this helps out the B Plus Foundation." Technically true, but in the grand scheme of things, how much does it help? How much does it
but
actually
Jaden,
donate to people? And
but
it,
Jaden, and here's the thing: with anytime you donate to any charity, right? You're able to use it as a tax write off at the end of the year, right?
yep,
And they have specifically on there, you cannot use this funds, you cannot use this your donation as a tax write off.
off, yep.
And do you know why?
What was
You know
that?
why? Because they're going to use all that as a tax write off for everything.
Yep, yep. It's just not fair. It's not transparent. It undermines what horror is about. I hope someone comes through and comes up with a better competition, blows this bullshit out of the way, because more people are going to be duped into this, probably even more next year than this year.
Yeah.
And this was probably more than last year. I think it was in its numbers. And that shouldn't be the case. There should be a legitimate online horror contest, free votes, free voting, all of that stuff. Prove what you can do, submit stuff, submit your work, have a talent portion, have a clown portion, have whatever, I don't care. But like incentivize people to continue, because really all that we need to do, we don't even have to post pictures in this thing. And a lot of people didn't. All we have to do is ask people to vote or vote for ourselves pretty much. And a lot of people did. That's kind of it. I would feel more inspired if I was doing something to motivate people to vote, if I was doing something to get more eyes on me, to build a following, to make a name for myself. But this competition doesn't do that. And it's not very public either. If
It's
they
not.
publicize, if they were talking on their story or posted about who's in the group, or would like display on their social media, this is the spotlight of the week or something. I don't know. But like, get people engaged, at least get people
But,
knowing who's in the competition if they don't.
but everything is so hush hush about this competition. Um,
Yep.
None of the people who are involved, as you know, I've said many times, they
Hmm.
promote this competition on their social media at all. Not one of them. Not one of them promotes this. Um, you should be able to see this. I don't know. You should be able to. Their actual website should be like you're saying. It should be more. It should be something more to it. It should be besides a video of Jim doing his recorded video. Which is
Yep.
a pump up thing to keep you not be discouraged. It's just I agree. There should be a better competition, but unfortunately, right now, by the way, subscribe to my channel, my series. You will see in the final segment, this this is not just the only competition. So there's one individual who runs this competition. They run the sneakerhead competition. They just got a cooking one out. Inked, Maxim, 40 and Fab. There's one individual who has overnight made himself a multimillionaire by running these scam competitions.
And it's not going, where we would hope it would go. Like I said, it's not being as charitable as they make it out to be. It's ultimately a
It's
write-off.
not.
But we're not seeing any of the indie projects that they're supposedly making. And I highly doubt that whomever wins this thing is going to be involved in whatever thing. They said it's, what is it, a walk-on role? I don't even think that's being offered
All
this
right,
year.
listen. So I'm glad you actually brought that up because I I actually brought it up in my video with Jim. There was supposed to be a walk and roll last year. So somebody actually, I must have saw my video and it's up on the screen right now. Somebody shared this with me. So they actually messaged Whiskey Tango, who was the individual who won last year, and they asked her, um, "Hey, did you ever get that walk on roll?" And her response was, put it up on the screen right now. Her response was no.
Why am I not surprised?
Her response was no. Her response was no, sad face. It was something I was very excited for and interested in that piece. However, it is contingent on production happening, funding, end of strike, etc. I'm hoping that someday that will come through.
It's probably not. They're on to the next one already.
Scam.
Yep. Yeah. I can't imagine who was in the finals in her group if she was able to squeak out a win from probably some really prominent VFX people and makeup artists. But that we may very well see the same results this year. Some person with no
Oh, you're
pictures.
definitely going to see. You're definitely going to see. It's going to be which I don't want to badmouth.
Chick in the lingerie.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be some Instagram OnlyFans
Yeah,
model.
that's usually what it is. It's not going to be anyone that's actually scary or that inspires people to get into costuming or makeup or horror or anything. It's just going to be someone with a following or with money or simps
Yeah.
who are able to get them by. And that's the reality of it. It
Yeah.
sucks. Majorly
But
sucks.
I'm absolutely jealous because it's an excellent scam. I mean, it's an amazing scam.
It is.
I mean, you could become a millionaire. If I would have thought of that scam, the Face of Horror, just the Face of Horror, there was 10 different contests last year. The Face of Horror by itself made $8 million last year, and they only had to donate 25% to B plus, which they wrote off. Imagine if they were. I mean, imagine how much money they're making out of these stupid competitions. It's an excellent scam. It's an amazing scam.
Yeah, and unfortunately, until the point that the IRS shuts it down or something, or there's like a legal complaint, it'll probably go on into perpetuity, and more people are gonna express their anger and ire at the competition. More people are gonna be begging their relatives, their friends, don't do this next year, and they may not listen.
They're not.
The hope is that enough people notice this, enough people are taking heed of the warnings and bow out because it's a little bit humiliating. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money, and you won't win. The odds are too terribly high against you, and no matter how inspired you feel to do this thing, no matter how motivated and how much you love horror, and I do too, the odds are against you and are forever against your favor. It's not going to be who has the best makeup, who's got the best voice, who's got the best look, who's got the talent and skills and blood and guts, who knows the most horror. It's going to be who has money. And that's the reality of it. So unless we can fork out $7,000, it's not going to
I'm
be
gonna
a
say
thing.
it's not even for who has the biggest fan base during free votes. It's not even about that. It's
No,
about who has the most money. It's
yep.
100% about who has the most money. Whoever has the most money, who's willing to put the most money into the competition, is the winner.
It's funny you
It's
mentioned that.
100% the winner.
I was so surprised by who I beat in this race. I've seen people. One girl who was in the semifinals has 1 million followers on TikTok. Was posting, getting thousands of likes and views and stuff like that. She ended up 12th in her group. And there was a zombie guy on TikTok. He's got a huge following, hundreds of thousands of followers. Was going viral and stuff for his like really creepy zombie makeup. He's in zombie makeup and all of his stuff. Lives like a zombie. He lost weeks ago. There was a drag queen from the show Dracula, which has its own sort of spooky horror drag show kind of concept. she lost about a week or two ago, and she had a larger following than I do. So yeah, if people aren't actually buying votes, aren't paying,
You're not going to
then
win.
it kind of means nothing at the end of the day.
Hmm. I 100% agree. And I mean, I think they have it set up that way. I think you could have millions of free votes. It's not going to compete to the person who's paying
Yeah, it can't.
$5,000.
Yeah, and that shouldn't be the case. That should not be the case. If they wanted it to be a free, fair competition, one free vote, just one vote. That's it. One vote per day. But
Or just be, or they can just be transparent from the beginning and saying, whoever donates the most money wins.
yeah, but then no
You
one
can
would do the
be
competition.
no, but I'm just saying because that's what it is. I mean,
Pretty
that's what
much.
it is. There's a lot of thousands and thousands of people thought that they could win simply off of people. I was one of them. I was like, everybody hit the free vote, hit the free vote. And I got halfway through it, and I was like, oh shit, I'm not gonna win this thing without not putting no money in.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
guess what?
Right.
I was giving family and friends money to vote to donate. You had to. That's the only way you understand a chance.
Yep. And I never asked anyone to pay anything. I was trying to get by solely on free votes, and I by and large did. Everyone that paid was typically a low dollar amount, and they would do it maybe once a week or so. My oldest brother dropped, I think, $200, $300 on me, which surprised me. I did not ask for that, but he helped me get through the earlier rounds. And another guy, Bogdan, was paying hundreds of dollars. I don't know how much. I'm afraid to check the dashboard and see how many people donated and all that stuff because I'd feel bad. But yeah, a lot of money goes nowhere ultimately, does not go to win. And what sucks is, like you mentioned earlier, people are emptying out their savings to do this thing. You've got grandmas and aunts and uncles sending thousands of dollars. I made friends with another competitor earlier this week, and she was running her daughter's competition page, Macy, and was saying that her boss was about to donate $1,000 and the grandparents were about to shell out 300 and 500. And she said, look, that's nice and all, and I'm glad that you guys are ready to do this, but we probably won't win, and you would have to do it again for the
Mhm.
finals, but
Yep.
more so. So whatever you're doing now, we're going to need like 5 times more in the end. And that's stressful because, like, what if you win? It's not really realistic that you can pay everyone back.
You're
And that
not.
kind of sucks because people do need that money, but it's a lose situation at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's sad. Well, Jaden, how can everyone find you, my friend?
Well, my name is everywhere. This is pretty much, if you look up my name, you'll find me, Jaden LeBron, JaydenLibran. I've got a YouTube channel, TikToks, Instagram, Facebook, and if you want to check out my puppet content, I have a YouTube page called The Sneeple. That's Sneople. I just put out a Halloween special. That's what I was working on the whole month while I was doing the Face of Horror thing. And ultimately, I feel like that was the better project. So check it out.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.